Good morning, and welcome to the Morning Report. My name is Willie Lawson. I trust that you are well. It's the end of the school year and it's graduation season, and everybody is so excited about graduating from this or that. I had a Facebook post that because all this came to mind over something that happened over the weekend. Well, happened Friday, and I heard about that someone missed a function because they had to go to a graduation ceremony for VPK because they were graduating. They're 3 years old from VPK, and it made me think about all we have about. My God, we have kindergarten graduation. Really, seriously, a middle school graduation that and they have like prom and stuff. They got getting cards, they have dances. They're going from eighth to ninth grade. Stop it. Please just stop it. High school graduation almost means nothing anymore, saying that everybody gets to do it. It used to be a situation where, graduating from high school was kind of a big deal. When families weren't doing a lot of it, they work on the farm or in the factory or whatever, and sort of have a high school graduate in the family was kind of a big deal. Kind of isn't anymore. Even even when kids aren't doing very well, they manage to graduate from high school because high school just let them out, and then they have a ceremony that they let them out. So they hardly mean anything more, and damn near everybody and their mama got a bachelor's degree, so that hardly means anything anymore either, because even college education is so prevalent in our society, so that instantaneously makes it less valuable, doesn't it? If everybody can do it, then it's not very special, is it? And maybe you don't celebrate it as much. Just saying. So we've got a lot of that going on. But I did want to talk about somebody who is making waves at graduations for, I don't know, telling the truth, trying to help folks. And we simply can't have that, can we? It's a kicker from the Kansas City Chiefs organization. Nathan Buckner, I guess his name is. And Nathan Butker. I'm sorry, Harrison Butker. Excuse me, Harrison Butker. And he was at a. We have two clips tonight, today. We have one of the clips where he was at his alma mater, which is Georgia Tech, and then he was at a Christian college, a Catholic college, giving the commencement remarks, and the kind of the kind of ridiculous, outrageous reaction to all of this is, well, it's ridiculous. Unfortunately, it isn't like it's not expected. There was even a guest opinion piece put into a Kansas City paper suggesting that the Chiefs fire Harrison Buckner and hire the girl from Mizzou that kicked in a Power Five football game. She was the first female to participate in a Power Five football game. She kicked a kickoff that someone held, wasn't even off a tee, and it was a squib kick in the game. Great squib kick, did fabulous. But as someone trying to offer a real suggestion that this person, this girl, should replace a Super Bowl winning kicker who actually kicked the winning field goal in the championship game and the Super Bowl, because of the remarks that we're going to show you here this morning. Here's some remarks from when he was at, let's see, no, I want to go back to Georgia Tech. At Georgia Tech, the Georgia Institute of Technology. Georgia Tech's a pretty important school, right? So here's his remarks. Make sure I get everything just right. I'm using vMix. I started using vMix before, but it just seemed like if you didn't pony up the cache, it doesn't really work all that well for you. So let's see if we can hear his remarks. Hang on a second. Let me get everything set. That's why you need two people to do this. Oh well, I'm only as big as two people. Here's Harrison Buckner's remarks at Georgia Tech.
It is important to use today as an opportunity to take stock of your mission. Our culture is suffering. We all see it. It doesn't matter which political persuasion you sit on or whether you are a person of deep faith or not. Anyone with eyes can see that something is off. Studies have shown one of the many negative effects of the pandemic is that a lot of young adults feel a sense of loneliness, anxiety, and depression, despite technology that has connected us more than ever before. It would seem the more connected people are to one another, the more they feel alone. I'm not sure the root of this, but at least I can offer one controversial antidote that I believe will have a lasting impact for generations to come. Get married and start a family. Wow. I will say this is the most important ring I have right here. Having kicked the game-winning field goal in both the AFC Championship and the Super Bowl, I have received a great deal of praise for these successes. They just announced that this Super Bowl was the most watched football game of all time, and yet all of this happiness is temporary. And the truth is, none of these accomplishments mean anything compared to the happiness I have found in my marriage and in starting a family. My confidence as a husband and father, and yes, even as a football player, is rooted in my marriage with my wife, as we leave our mark on future generations by the children we bring into the world. How much greater of a legacy can anyone leave than that? Sadly, we are encouraged to live our lives for ourselves, to move from one thing to another with no long-term commitment, to have loyalty for nothing but ourselves and sacrifice only when it suits our own interests. This loneliness is rooted in the lies being sold about self-dependence and prioritizing our career over important relationships.
All right, now these remarks were basically saying what a lot of us have been saying. We have raised the most selfish generation in the history of generations, the most selfish generation in the history of selfishness. And the culture is saying to people in general, young people especially, worry about you. Just worry about you. Don't worry about anybody else. If for some reason people can't understand that your wellness is the most important thing, then screw them, right? And this is obviously an antithetical behavior to doing what he suggested, doing what the culture has survived on, and the country has thrived on, and the Western civilization has thrived on. Get married, start a family. In that order, get married, start a family. Because what that does, if you're any kind of person at all, that takes your eyes off yourself and on other people. We wonder why people are so cruel. Well, because, if we were in a situation where it was just me, and it was just you, and we had conflict, then one of us would have to die, right? Now, because we have other people in our lives that we have to prioritize, because we have to be there for them in some way, some capacity, then you know what happens? Then we may not have that conflict. That conflict may not go to, we have to die, right? So the level of violence is brought down. Because our concerns are for other people. We can teach the children that they have to have concerns for other folks. It's exactly what the left pretends that they care about. But that's not what they talk about, and that's not what they teach. And so when they hear remarks like this, and remarks that I'm going to play, they don't know what to do. They don't know what to do except react in somehow this guy ought to be canceled somehow. Got to be canceled. He got to be fired from his job. Because kicking field goals and having, for the Kansas City Chiefs, and having a thought or an opinion are things that cannot coexist. That cannot coexist, right? Because, kicking field goals, he might influence somebody to I don't know, I agree with what he says. What these people on the left don't realize is that a lot of people already agree with Harrison Butker. They already do, and are thrilled that somebody has the cojones to actually say it out loud. I already agree with it. That his viewpoints aren't so radical, are so terribly radical that he's going to cause some harm to anybody. Now, remember, the next set of remarks were made when he was at Benedict, was it Benedictine College, which is a Catholic college. Harrison is Catholic as far as I know, right? So you have to put these comments in context to where he was and who he was talking to. Here we go. I think I got it set up. I do. Oh, wait a minute. Make sure I do. And here we go.
It is only in the past few years that I have grown in courage to speak more boldly and directly, because as I mentioned earlier, I have leaned into my vocation as a husband and father, and as a man. To the gentleman here today, part of what plagues our society is this lie that has been told to you that men are not necessary in the home or in our communities. As men, we set the tone of the culture, and when that is absent, disorder, dysfunction, and chaos set in. This absence of men in the home is what plays a large role in the violence we see all around the nation. Other countries do not have nearly the same absentee father rates as we find here in the U.S., and a correlation could be made in their drastically lower violence rates as well. Be unapologetic in your masculinity, fighting against the cultural emasculation of men. Do hard things. Never settle for what is easy. You might have a talent that you don't necessarily enjoy, but if it glorifies God, maybe you should lean into that over something that you might think suits you better. I speak from experience as an introvert who now finds myself as an amateur public speaker and an entrepreneur, something I never thought I'd be when I received my industrial engineering degree. The road ahead is bright. Things are changing, society is shifting, and people, young and old, are embracing tradition. Not only has it been my vocation that has helped me and those closest to me, but not surprising to many of you, should be my outspoken embrace of the traditional Latin Mass. I've been very vocal in my love and devotion to the TLM and its necessity for our lives. But what I think gets misunderstood is that people who attend the TLM do so out of pride or preference. I can speak to my own experience, but for most people I have come across within these communities, this simply is not true. I do not attend the TLM because I think I am better than others, or for the smells and bells, or even for the love of Latin. I attend the TLM because I believe, just as the God of the Old Testament was pretty particular in how he wanted to be worshiped, the same holds true for us today. It is through the TLM that I encountered order and began to pursue it in my own life.
Wow, the Latin Mass. That's a Catholic conversation. I don't, that is a Catholic conversation. It isn't. I mean, I don't think this is a general conversation that the rest of us have because when we went to church today, we did not sit in a mass. We didn't sit. We didn't go to. I didn't go to a Catholic church. Although my pastor's Italian, it was not Catholic. We did not have any Latin services. So that part of it is definitely that traditionalist part is something that Harrison feels strongly about in his Catholic faith. And that's a Catholic discussion back and forth that they have. And he said he wasn't judging anybody. Do what you want. But for me, and this is what the left always says, don't try to pinch your values on other people. Well, he said, okay, I didn't. For me. The conversation about the demasculization of men in America is not a new conversation that Harrison brought up. We've been talking about that for a while. A lot of us have been talking about that for a long time. The feminization of men, and we see it all the time. We see it in the culture. So, and whenever somebody has the audacity to notice it and say something about it, they are thought of being somebody who is dangerous. Now, this is a TikTok I found about how the media does, what they do when something happens. It's the four stages. This is actually very cool. The four stages of mainstream media journalism. Here we go. Here's the first stage.
Are the real problem here. It's happening are the real problem here. That's not true, and it's definitely not really happening.
That's not true. It's not true. I'll tell you, not true. There is no feminization of men. I'll tell you, that is not true. It's not happening. That's the first thing. Here's the second thing.
Yeah, it's happening, but it's not a big deal.
There you go. Okay, so it's happening, but it's really not that big a deal. I don't know why you're making a big deal about it. I don't know why you're making a big deal about sending your little boy to school in his princess dress. It's not a big deal, really. Here's what else you see.
That thing that's happening is actually a good thing, and here's why.
So that thing that you're seeing is actually a good thing because whatever reason. I remember just a little bit ago they said it wasn't happening. And then they told you it wasn't a big deal, and then they said now they're saying, well, it's a good thing though. Attach that to almost anything that's actually happening that's negative to especially to Western civilization and the health of of our nation. Attach it to anything that you hear from media. And here's the final one that we're seeing in the Harrison Butker case.
People freaking out about the thing that's happening are the real problem here.
So if you're freaking out about what's happening, now you brought it up. You just brought it up. You're talking about it. You're freaking out about it. The feminization, the emasculation of men in America or in our culture. Then you're the problem. And you should lose your job. And then you should use your livelihood. You should lose your platform. This is how they do it. Now, and again, when I first started podcasting, I put in the description BYOS, bring your own solutions. So I bring my own solutions. The solution to this problem is to ignore these people and run over them with a bulldozer. Just do the right thing, regardless of what they say. And support people who are saying and doing the right thing. Support them. Encourage them. And you can encourage them by saying and doing the right thing yourself. Say the right things to your kids. Make your kids do the right thing. That's how you save the day. That's how you save the republic. That's how you save Western civilization. That's how you do it. Yeah, and people will say terrible things about you. They will. It's kind of how they do it. But so what? Because here, and I found this clip too, and I thought it was kind of funny. This is kind of a minute of what the press is like, and this is a press conference with KJP, Karine Jean-Pierre, talking about inviting the Kansas City Chiefs to the White House.
Thanks, Brian. Can we still assume that the Kansas City Chiefs will be visiting the White House this year in celebration of their Super Bowl victory?
So what I can say is all the team, per usual, when there is a championship team gets invited. I don't have anything to add on if their attendance or how that looks, but the team is always invited. Everyone on the team is invited. I just don't have anything beyond that.
So can you confirm, you said everyone on the team is obviously invited. Is the Chiefs kicker Harrison Butker welcome at this White House?
What I can say, you would have to obviously. What I can say is we invite the entire team, and we do that always. I don't have anything beyond that.
Given his recent comments, is he specifically welcome at this?
We invite the
White House?
team. We invite the team. It's an invitation that goes to the team, and so it's up to the team who comes and who doesn't come. That's the way it usually works.
Because of his recent comments of actually telling the truth, and his recent comments, Catholic comments talking to Catholics about Catholicism, he should somehow not be welcome at this White House. And you can see Jean Pierre's eyes fluttering because she is trying her best not to lie. Let's see if I can get those in there. Let's see if I can get those in there because I thought, watching her eyes flutter that way with the color of that's on her eyelids. Let's see if we can get them in there so you can see it. It's pretty eye opening to see. Let's see. We'll just. Oh, again. This would be so much easier if there were two of us doing this. I'm going to go ahead and cut that.
Celebration of their Super Bowl victory.
So what I can say is all the team, per usual, when there is a championship
Look at those eyes.
team gets invited. I don't have anything to add on if their attendance or how that looks, but
Look at those eyes right there.
Team gets invited. I don't have anything to add on if their attendance or how that looks.
Oh, too funny. Absolutely too funny. Any case, that's what's going on. That's what we face this Monday morning or Sunday night as you're watching. That's what we're facing. Listen, we got to get out of here and make room for somebody else. So if you like this format better than the one I do on Zoom, I normally just record the show on Zoom and have the cheesy backdrop and that kind of stuff. It's an American flag, so it's not cheesy, but it is cheesy visually. And this is kind of a nightmare back here. We got a Coke machine that's not a Coke machine. It's actually a cooler, and that's a heater for when it gets cold here. And that's my guitar. And this is just some stuff that my wife and I put up. And that's a puffin. That's a puffin. And here's my new computer that I got a couple years ago for my family. It rocks. And that's a fan for when it gets cold. And this is a fan for when it gets hot. And that's a heater for when it gets cold. Yeah, you see it all here. This is the deal. This is the reality of it. All right, we got to get out of here and make room for somebody else. So until we see you again, go out there and learn something, love somebody, and for goodness sakes, y'all take care of yourself. We will see you when we see you. Bye bye now.